Welcome everybody to another episode of Wake Up at 724. This is a student sports debate show. While we are not able to gather together, there are no sports. This is the only option that we have, and so we're going to take it. Today's episode is going to be multi-sport athletes. What defines them? What's good about it? What's bad about it? How do you make those decisions? When do you choose to just invest in one sport? Why would you make those decisions? And I couldn't think of three better people to have on the show that are experienced in this, have a lot to say about it, and they're all just good looking, so viewership alone, we're going to skyrocket. So I want to let them introduce themselves. We've got double Nates on the show and a Mendes, so you know it's going to be good. So thanks for tuning in. Fellas, why don't you introduce yourselves?
I'm Ben. Hey.
Nice. Ben, give us some credentials. What sports have you played throughout your life? What sports are you currently playing? What gives you the right to be on this show today?
Well, when I was younger, I played soccer and basketball. And then moving up through middle school, I started playing volleyball. And then eventually that was the only sport I played throughout high school. So, yeah.
And just so that the people know this, how many times state champion are you in volleyball?
I'm a two-time state champion.
And if the season were to have happened this year, would that have been 3?
I like to think so.
Good answer. Good answer. If you said any other answer, I would have edited it out. Good answer. Nate, let's hear from you. Introduce yourselves. Give us your sports history, credentials for the show.
All right, I'm going first. Nate Campbell. I played baseball and basketball for all 4 years of high school. Played my whole life.
Nice. And Nate, which sport do you love the most? If you had to pick one, basketball or baseball, which is it?
Baseball.
All right. Hodder?
Hi, my name's Nate Hodder. I played football, basketball, baseball, tennis, and soccer all growing up. In high school, I played tennis, soccer, and lacrosse. I beat my body to a pulp for the love of the game. And I think everyone should be in the same position as I am, recovering from possibly a career-ending injury at the age of 22.
Nice. Well, good to hear. Fellas, one of the things, one of the rings that we want Nate on the show, Nate Hodder, is he too dealt with a lot of injury. And I know that injury, like myself, I dealt with a lot of injury in my professional high school career that kind of really did impact my future playing. And I know that that's something that really weighs heavy on this conversation. So let's kind of jump right in and see where it takes us. And just so you know, at any point during this show, one of my children could run across here in the background. You just got to roll with it. That's like our number one fans, right? Also, in case you're wondering, one of our slogans on the show is "Let's go." And if you look closely, that is Ben Mendes. That's a quote from him. So you have him live in the flesh here. So if we don't get at least 2 "Let's goes" from Ben throughout the show, it's been a waste. So Ben, start us off with the first topic with a
Let's go.
There we go. All right. So as you guys look at your careers, your friends' careers, people, what is the advantage or disadvantage of playing multiple sports in high school?
So I think that obviously if you just play one sport, it just narrows down skills and talents you have to work on. So obviously you would probably be better at that one sport. But at the same time, if you played multiple sports, it'd just be you get good at different skills, meet more people essentially, if that's what you're looking for in a high school experience. So, there's pros and cons to narrowing down to one or playing multiple, but yeah, that's just what I think at least.
Okay, interesting take. How about one of the Nates?
I think it's important to play multiple sports because it helps you with whatever other sport you're playing, whether it's football and baseball or baseball and basketball. I think you just benefit. Obviously if you play one sport, you're going to be better at it than you would be if you focused on another sport. But part of your game, whatever it is, translates from other sports, I feel like.
Okay, Hodder.
Yeah, I think multiple for sure. Like, absolutely makes you more well-rounded, allows for different experiences that you wouldn't have, maybe doing your only sport. And it really depends on the situation. Like, if you're going pro, specialization is fine. Most of us aren't. So I think multiple sports is beneficial. Often that specialization comes at the cost of injury because you're working the same muscle groups over and over again, whether that be pitching, throwing, things like that. I think you have more fun with multiple, and it makes you more well-rounded, and also gives some parts of your body a rest.
So for the average Joe Schmo, which is all of us, although my college career is over, never stood a chance. Nate's is over, but for Nate, Campbell, and Ben, like, you guys have a legitimate shot at playing at the next level for a university. How do you guys carry that weight, that burden of, do I give myself to this sport and see what comes of it, and see if I have a chance to play at the next level, or do I say it doesn't matter, I'm going to keep playing all these other sports? For example, Nate, you continue to play basketball and baseball. Ben, you even brought it up at some point. You stopped playing soccer, although you were a great soccer player, and switched exclusively to volleyball year-round. How do you guys weigh those decisions from I don't want to call you Joe Schmo, but no one is looking at you guys and saying you're the next LeBron James of your sport. Although I think we need to talk about that. What do those students do? How do you walk us through that process, and someone who might be in your shoes debating that themselves?
I mean, for me, the decision to only play volleyball was pretty easy because I grew to dislike soccer and basketball in middle school, but I just didn't really like those sports. So it wasn't really out of a decision to I wanted to play in college or whatnot. I just didn't enjoy playing the other sports anymore. So that's why I just decided to only play volleyball.
Was part of your loss of enjoyment skill related? Were other people just better than you and it made it easier? Or do you feel like you could have competed or even played, but you would have done more in volleyball? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, I think I probably could have played those sports in high school. It was just kind of a combination of I had a couple coaches I didn't really enjoy. My teammates were a little tough in a couple sports, so it was pretty simple for me just to play volleyball.
So from your perspective, a student in your shoes, other players, atmosphere, coaching, skill level, enjoyment matters deeply. Okay, Campbell, what about you?
I think playing baseball in college was kind of just I knew I wanted to play a sport, and if I could have, I would have played both, but basketball wasn't an option in college, so took the baseball route. And I kind of excited whenever you play multiple sports your whole life to see I always wanted to play one sport in college to see how much more I would excel if I only focused on that sport for the first time ever. So I think it'll be cool.
How do athletes make that decision to say, I'm going to focus on this one sport because I know it's going to take me places? And what do they miss out by doing that?
I think guys like that can just they just have a different rule set. So I mean, honestly, it's really their decision as to what they want to do. I mean, it's that situation is just so rare to get someone that's so good at multiple sports. But I mean, if they could focus on one sport and be one of the best in the world in it, I think that's what they should do.
Okay, Nate?
I look at Kyler Murray a lot whenever I think about that, because he could have gone in the first round of the MLB draft. Well, he did, or he could have signed with the Cardinals. And so I think it's just kind of comes down to what you're passionate about. He knows playing football, his body's going to take more of a beating and his career will be shorter. He won't make as much money, but if it's what he's passionate about, then if you can be great at both but want to only pick one, you might as well pick the one you enjoy more.
Yeah. How does just total not fair luck, DNA, genes, stuff like that? You know, Nate Campbell, I look at you like your dad's a pretty tall dude, your dad's pretty athletic. What happens if all of a sudden, if you guys have been watching the Bulls documentary, you guys learn that Scottie Pippen was a 6'1" point guard, and then all of a sudden, you know, at some point in college he grows 7 inches, and now he's a 6'7", 6'8". Like, how much of that just does that make you guys upset when you see that? Does that get you guys excited? How does that sway or impact any decisions when you think about it?
I don't really think about it a whole lot, but it definitely helped. Like whenever, you know, if you're talking to college coaches and you go on a visit with your dad and he's 6'4" and you're not even 6 foot yet, that it certainly interests colleges and, you know, coaches whenever they see that you still have room to develop. You know, if a kid could be 16, but if he's like 6'5" and 230 pounds and his parents are 6 foot, the college understands that he's done, you know, finished developing. So I think it excites, you know, it excites me, but it also excites, you know, the colleges that are taking a chance, I guess, on you and giving you an opportunity to see that you could be more than, you know, what they expected.
Yeah. What do you guys think? Any agreement, disagreement, thoughts?
To answer your previous question about being just so good in 2 sports and having to, because I think ultimately there has to be a selection. The person I think of almost immediately is Ben Bjorklund, who is just so good, such a good shooter. But also when he gets on the sticks and re-downloads Fortnite, let me tell you, he transcends everyone else he's playing with. It's incredible.
Just so we're clear, Nate, not to interrupt you, Ben Bjorklund is on record for saying he believes that he could walk on as a cornerback at Geneva or Grove City. Just so we're clear, that's the kind of confidence we're talking about. Never played football in his life. Continue.
Yeah, and if they have an esports team, he'd walk onto that as well. But yeah, at some point he's gonna have to make a decision. I'm curious to see where he's gonna go with that.
Yeah. So you guys all playing multiple sports. For students listening, give us some specifics. How has playing another sport helped you in the sport that if you had to pick, you would pick over the rest of them? But because you played these other sports, it's made you a better athlete. Give us some practical, some real evidence there.
I think the number one thing that comes to mind is conditioning. Just staying at the top of your game. And if you're always, like during off season, yeah, you're always running and things like that. But if you're always preparing to be your best and be your best at any given time, that really, really, really helps.
I like it. Conditioning. Although one could argue that you can condition anyway and anywhere, but that does matter. I think there's a difference between conditioning on a team and at that level than personally, but there's ways around that. What else?
For me, I don't know. Volleyball it's kind of similar to basketball, but I never really was that serious about basketball. If anything, just like being on a bunch of different teams made me be good at being part of a team, I guess.
I actually thought that with the 2 sports I played, it almost hurt me playing, you know, transitioning from basketball to baseball, because baseball, you're probably better off putting on more weight and, you know, you work out your arm and legs a lot like that. But basketball, really all you do is lose weight, and we don't work out a whole lot during the season. So, and if I do and I'm sore the next day, I'm gonna shoot 0% or whatever. So you did kind of sacrifice, you know, if I lift to try to stay in shape for baseball, it'll hurt me in basketball. If I don't, then it'll hurt me in baseball and help in basketball. So
What has been pitched to you, and how have you tried to recruit friends and other players into your sport, or does it not matter and you can't really convince people?
I know for volleyball, it's just like you're just trying to find big dudes, just guys that are just large. That's all you want, really. I mean, volleyball is not like a crazy difficult sport to learn, so you just try to find big people. That's about it.
Yeah, I think for soccer in high school, a couple times we recruited just phenomenal athletes, purely because the team was so good. And my senior year, we set 11 school records and a couple state records. Our team was just incredible, and the dynamic and being able to pitch to these people that look like we're going to states, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. That was what brought people. And then also the fact that the team was so supportive and awesome. And I think that dynamic is what draws a lot of people to certain sports.
if you're friends with the people, like if someone had previously played a sport, like, we didn't have our best big man for basketball. He didn't want to play this year, but saw that we were 0-3 and had just got beat by 39 points the previous game and decided he couldn't let us. He was one of our only hopes of a decent season, so he couldn't. We convinced him that we needed him, and I think if they have some sort of passion for the sport and like you as a person, it'll help for sure.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that 39-point loss. I was shooting lights out that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't take the foot off the gas.
So is there any evidence or reason to say that if you haven't played a sport by a certain age, you shouldn't start? You need to make a decision by a certain age and commit to one sport if you really think you're going to go places. Is there any merit to any of that argument, or is it all kind of up in the air, wait and see? What do you guys think?
Yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't think there's any time where it's too late to start a sport. Like you mentioned, Jimmy Graham, who literally just decided after college, hey, I'm going to play football. I think for me personally, I never touched a volleyball until sophomore year at college. And in a year and a half, I was playing with all the guys on Liberty's D1 team. It's just sometimes you naturally really, really, really excel at a sport. And I wish I would have played in high school and stuff like that. I think, I don't know, a lot of times our schedules are so busy and the certain sports that we're in are so demanding that we don't get the opportunity to try things.
How do you say, listen, this athlete picked this sport, but in your opinion, he picked the wrong sport? How do you get in those arguments? Let's pretend that we're all the LeBron James, could have played football, could have played basketball, we're the Kyler Murrays, could have played football, could have played baseball. What is the thing that is swaying your personal decision? I think for some sports, the fact that there is a very luxurious professional opportunity should sway you. Like if Ben's deciding between playing basketball in the NBA or going professional in volleyball, unless there's some crazy reasons, Ben would pick, I would assume, NBA because he's going to make millions, where I don't know where volleyball takes him other than like the Olympics. Soccer, you could argue you could make more money playing soccer than any other sport, depending if you get in one of those, European leagues. So what needs to be in place for you to pull the trigger on a sport for you?
I think it'd probably have to be a combination of everything you said. I mean, it's going to be if I can playing time, money, how much I enjoy the sport, length of career, risk of injury. I think it'd have to be a combination of everything to kind of make a decision.
For me, it's gonna be all about the money, and but that's the money over time. I don't want an immediate payoff. I'm looking for a sustained income, over a 17, 18-year career, so I can provide for my family, and be able to do some charitable stuff, serve God, and hopefully one day pastor Orchard Hill Church.
Yeah, I just think it's a combination of everything.
That's crap. So last question. This is a serious one. I think that does sway a lot of people, whether we're talking, I peaked in middle school with sports. I was good in high school, made it to college, considering pro, we kind of brought this up a little bit. Where does the fear and risk of injury, how does that weigh on these decisions for you guys? How do you think it weighs on for other athletes when they're considering just sticking to one versus playing multiple? How does risk of injury impact or sway decisions?
It didn't really for me. I mean, I've never gotten like really majorly injured for anything, so it was just kind of like whatever I wanted to do. I know Hodge is crippled though, so you should ask him.
Yeah, I wish I would have listened to my body. I don't think I feared it enough, and that's probably why I'm in the position that I'm in right now. I think it's really, really, really important to actually, like, you know, if you're feeling pain, stop. And I didn't. I just went until I couldn't anymore.
Yeah, I was just about to say that I kind of should probably take something from Hodder, because sometimes you keep throwing and don't want to stop, but your arm can't really take it, and it's a little scary if your arm's gonna give up on you or whatever.
Officially run out of time. I want to thank my sports anchors, Nate, and Ben, for being on the show today. Y'all brought your expertise, your wisdom, your experience, your knowledge that I know is priceless, and I know all 13 people that will watch this episode will find extremely helpful as they make decisions down the road for their sports careers. So thanks again for being on the show. This has been Wake Up at 724, your student debate sports show. So guys, thanks for tuning in. Looking forward to having you on the show again.